Bonjour, welcome to the latest episode of NDN Way with Jonny R, the podcast that records live from the southern shore of the Red Lake Nation. I'm your host, Jonny R, obviously. And it's been about, 6 weeks or so since my last episode because the coronavirus has us all, quarantined and not able to go out and do stuff, which causes me to have my kids home all the time. So there's really no time for recording podcasts. So that's where I've been. My wife and I have been home. Well, actually, I started working March 16th, right about the time the coronavirus took over the country, when everything started getting shut down. So I've been working since then, and fortunate to find a job while others have been laid off and furloughed or whatever all that business stuff is. And my wife, who's been home since, I think we said March 20th. Yeah, my wife has been home with the kids since about March 21st. And over 90 days, but today she went back to work after 3 months home alone with 8 kids, 6 and under. So I was happy for her, being home alone with kids. It could probably take its toll on a lesser woman, but my wife's pretty strong, and she took care of business, made sure everybody was fed, cleaned, did what she had to do to keep everybody comfortable at home. And I don't know how I can ever repay her for that, but it was my hat's off to her. She did really well, made a lot of home improvements while she was home, which she loved. She loves to do home improvements. I'm usually the supervisor or the lifter of heavy things because of my big muscles. See, look at. Okay, they're not that big, but yeah. And she did quite a bit. She made a couple rooms downstairs, fixed our doors, toilets. Her flooring is next, so looking forward to being yelled at helping her. I'm just kidding, but I'm not the typical male. I'm not very handy, so I just lift the heavy things for her. So again, man, she's been home since March 21st with the kids, and she finally went back to work today. And kids were glad to go back to daycare. Even though we're not out of the woods with the coronavirus, but life has to go on eventually. So, but be safe out there. We've been taking the proper precautions every time we go out. We wear masks, we wash our hands, we always have sanitizer with us, and we're rarely out and about anyway. So which is pretty much our everyday normal life, because we don't really go anywhere, do anything, socialize. It takes a lot for us to get up and get out. First we have to find a sitter, and they're gonna have money for a sitter. And then by the time we get all the kids up and ready, it's like 2 hours. And while before this coronavirus, we went to the movie, we figured, man, that's 2 hours. We could be doing something else. So yeah, that's what our life is right now. So, but everything is going well. Everybody's healthy. We celebrated. We got all 8 of the kids' birthdays out of the way. Started back in November, and we finished up our last couple birthdays yesterday. Last 2 birthday parties for June, and we're good now until August. And the older kids' birthdays are coming up. We got 3 in August and then 1 in September, and we also have our 20-year wedding anniversary coming up in August. So we're gonna have a busy August. As for school, usually we get ready for school clothes and supplies and stuff, but we don't know what's going to happen yet. these are difficult times for everybody. So hopefully things, I don't know, we may never go back to normal. So it'll be interesting to see where we go, how things are worked out. But other than that, we're good at home. Kids at daycare right now, which is why I'm able to finally record an episode. I know the last episode we had was with my wife, and she was talking about her home projects. So, yeah. But everything else, home-wise, we're doing good. But the rest of the world is still struggling. Coronavirus, the George Floyd protests, and it's just really difficult to understand how this has continued to go on for so long. They got the civil rights movement started in the 60s, but yet 50 some years later we're still fighting for equality. The black community was in the, you can't blame them for the uprising. Well, I know I was reading a lot on Twitter, and you see a lot of Facebooks where you see a lot of the protesters were doing it peacefully, and then there were the what are those called, provocateurs. You could see misplaced agents out there, getting the people riled up, and a lot of them were caught. And makes me wonder, is that what really happens when unrest starts? It's really it's like you invite a movement, and there's gonna be a lot of you can't account for everybody that's out there, and some people will take advantage of that, which they have. And it's it really didn't take, well, it didn't really take much away from the protests. The protests still kept going on, and that was pretty inspiring to see. It brought the community together. South side Minneapolis. I couldn't spit that out. Which is where I was born. I was raised about the first 3 or 4 years of life right off Lake Street there, the Little Earth Projects. So it was inspiring to see all the people come together. A lot of the native communities, the indigenous community, AIM, they were credited with helping protect a lot of the buildings down there in that south side Lake Street area. And that was something that needed to be done. It wasn't just the indigenous communities that did that. All others communities took care of their neighborhoods, which was inspiring to see. The people can come together, and the people have come together. They're heard. What they wanted to say is now being heard, and I was really proud of how everything, all the people coming together. We need more of that, and it's still going to continue. Like there's another 27-year-old man shot in Atlanta over the weekend, and the police are under fire, which, well, terrible choice of words, but there needs to be more accountability within the police department. Needs more policing of the police, I think they're saying. So 50 some years of civil rights, and we're still trying to figure it out, but I think it's bound to change for the better. So, but that was just around the time that we were starting to talk about the Red Lake riots that happened in 1979. The uprising Red Lake had, and you hear different stories, varying stories about why it happened, how it happened, and all the behind the scenes stuff that was going on during that time. Again, when you bring something like that to light, a lot of people will take advantage of it to cause chaos. And that happened. And you hear stories about how Red Lake was somewhere people always wanted to come. They loved their powwows. One of the biggest powwows in the country up until that time, and then Red Lake got a reputation of being, you know, violent, you know, hair trigger or whatever. Maybe I used that term wrong, but that was before I was around here, and we didn't really learn about that. You know, it wasn't in our school. No, none of my relatives talked about it, and you know, people write about it like in their college papers, high school papers, but there's really no solid account of what happened. Well, you know, we know how it started, and we know what they wanted, and you know, allegations of corruption, and you know, stuff like that. But we don't have I've never heard a solid account of what really happened. You know, documentation or anything. And newspaper reports. That's pretty much what I've seen. I haven't really gotten into it to not investigate, but you know, learn about it myself. It's just more of a something that I'd like to learn more about. But the more it seems like the more somebody inquires about it, the narrative changes. You know, it'll fit one side, you know, one family, and then the other family, and then what really happened, and just I don't know if we'll really ever get a true understanding of what really happened. And bringing that up, it's kind of sensitive, and a lot of families will, you know, take offense to something that they may not see as being true, and you know, other sides too. So there's really no way to really learn about it for us, for those that weren't there. You know, I was just a baby, you know, running around the Little Earth projects in my pamper around when that was happening. So I really don't know. I don't even know if I think my grandparents were up here, but yeah, I don't know. And my grandparents are no longer with us, so those stories went away. So, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, that just had me thinking about, you know, riots and unrest and, you know, civil rights. It's positive that there are more eyes out there now. You know, everybody has a phone, everybody has a camera, everybody goes live, and it sounds like a lot of the people that were live during the protests and witness to the riots, you know, it sounds like the authorities want to see a lot of that footage, and a lot of people are getting questioned about it, and I don't know. It's really a tricky time to be but I applaud everybody that went live. I remember watching my buddy Big Stu. He had a live feed. I don't even know if I should talk about it. Well, nobody listens to this anyway. But yeah, he had a lot of good video about what was going on. You know, standing their ground and protecting what you know, the indigenous community. A lot of Little Earth stood their ground, and that was inspiring to see, man. I really enjoyed seeing that. You know, felt a lot of pride from those actions, those brave people out there doing what was right for their community. So I applaud you all that were out there doing your part. And you know, you hear witnessed, you know, videos, pictures of more non-Minnesotans out there, you know, looting. I know AIM caught a couple of kids, you know, looting a liquor store, and they held them down till they called their parents on them, which is, you know, that was pretty cool to see. You know, parents come down here and pick them. They're from Wisconsin. I think it was like Eau Claire, Wisconsin, maybe, and you know, they held them till their parents got there, and they're lucky they didn't get caught by, you know, any other Anybody else? Anybody else probably would have been a different story, but good job, AIM, and all the other indigenous communities down there that were protecting the land. That's what I want. That's what I want. I'm heading down there Wednesday. I have a show with Will Spottedbear and the Rez Reporter Rob Fairbanks. Will be at the Mall of America at the Rick Bronson House of Comedy Wednesday, June 17th at 7:30 p.m. for our NDN Way comedy show, which was originally scheduled for April 1st, but stupid ass coronavirus pushed everything back, so we're putting it back together. It was short notice, maybe not even 2 weeks to put it together, but me, Rob, and will be there Wednesday, June 17th. Not tomorrow, but the day after. So, 2 more days. And today is what? Monday? We'll be down there Wednesday night. So hopefully a lot of people show up. The proper precautions will be taken, social distancing, and I think the venue will only allow 25% occupancy, so everything is well taken care of down that way, and show must go on. It'll be good to get back on stage, and it's really good. It's maybe historic that the first time ever an all indigenous lineup has taken that stage all at one time. So I don't know if it's been done in any other comedy club. So hopefully this starts something in the Minneapolis comedy community. Have a regular time for us. Give us our spotlight. We're ready. So that's what we're doing. Wednesday, June 17th. I'll be hosting along and with Will Spottedbear and the Rez Reporter Rob Fairbanks, 7:30, House of Comedy, which is at the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota, and that's where we will be. So, but I think that's all I got. I just wanted to check in and check out my quarantine mustache. My facial hair needs to be trimmed soon, and I've actually did 2 quarantine haircuts. They weren't very pretty, so that's why I'm wearing my hat. So maybe I'll have my wife cut my hair before I head out Wednesday. But yeah, that's where I'm at. And quarantine the last 90 days, and I'm proud to announce that I've actually lost another 22 pounds since I've been in quarantine. So total, I've lost about 49 pounds since October 10th of 2019. Just a lot of walking. A lot of I still get my sweets. I'm not supposed to, but I'm weak. My wife was giving me shit about all the candy, not the candy, but like the sweets I was eating this weekend, and so I told her some facts. I said, well, if they're bad for me, why are they called lifesavers? So I won that. Well, actually, I didn't win that, but yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Remember, Wednesday, June 17th. This Wednesday, June 17th, House of Comedy, 7:30 p.m. Me, Will Spottedbear, and the Rez Reporter Rob Fairbanks. Hope you can be there. Be good.